Learning to Pierce Part 2. We're going to talk about how you tear down after a piercing today on Body Piercing Basics, episode number 105. So if you want to learn that and know what's going on, please stick around. For those that are new to the channel, first off, welcome. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you're finding them edifying. I hope you're finding them educational. But you may not quite know who I am. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the lovely Skin Kitchen. So, when I talk to you about these things, I'm talking about a level of expertise that comes from me in the body piercing industry for well over 26 years. So I've kind of started this new series where, and it was off the request of a lot of viewers. I know there's a lot of people that watch these videos that are doing them because they're either thinking about beginning piercing, they're trying to figure out what they should learn in advance, or they're going through an apprentice program, or they've been doing it for years and they're looking for new hints because piercing can be a little bit isolating. So it's a little bit inside baseball. However, even if you're somebody that just collects piercings, you like to get pierced, it's your first piercing you're ever going to get, it gives you an insight of things that you should look for to make sure that your piercer is doing things correctly, and maybe explain some things that you didn't understand why they're doing that. So it gives you a little bit more knowledge about what is going on. So everybody, this could be helpful for you. The main reason why this is so important is the idea is to make sure that you can get a piercing or you can give a piercing in a safe manner and not give anybody something they don't want. I often say that I like my clients to come in and get a wonderful piercing and leave with nothing else. And this is part of that process of making sure that's the case. As a professional, you are going to pierce people that are going to have bloodborne pathogens that are highly contagious. For example, hepatitis. They may not even be aware that they have it. So you need to treat everybody, regardless of what they look like, regardless of where they're coming from, what have you, like they have something that you don't want to give to your clients and you don't want. The truth of the matter is, especially with this particular part of the whole process, is you are the person as a piercer that is at the highest risk of catching one of these diseases because you're in contact with this stuff your entire work week. Unlike your clients, which may be in contact with it for a short period of time and then leave. You really, really need to focus on this type of stuff and cross-contamination prevention because it's important to your health, even more so, I think, than even your clients. That's why when somebody's sloppy, I kind of come to the conclusion they don't care about their own health and they don't care about anybody else's. So we've done the piercing. Everything's done. What's left to do? First thing you want to do is you want to don a fresh pair of gloves. Now, this is going to be the third pair you have used. One to set up, one to do the piercing, and the last one to clean up. The reason why we do this is you've just done a piercing. Even if you can't see it on the gloves, you have bloodborne pathogens, microorganisms, blood spray, etc. on those gloves. So if you touch any item outside of the area, there's a possibility that you're going to contaminate it. So it's important to do this. Don a fresh pair of gloves. It seems like a waste, but it works. And I know it's hard because the price just doubled in the last year. Anyway, that's another video in itself. After you've done that, I always kind of do things in order. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the most contaminated item on that tray and get rid of it. And that is the needle. That goes directly into a sharps container along with anything else that's not going to be reused that has sharp points or edges on it. So, for those that don't know, a sharps container or a biohazard container is a hard plastic container that has a flip lid. Basically, it allows you to put things in it, and it's kind of a trap door. You can't pull things out of it. The idea is once it goes in there, no one ever has contact with it again. In fact, it will be sent off to, once it's full, sent off to a contractor who will then melt it down to an incinerary to about the size of a hockey puck. And as I remember it, they bury it, encase it in concrete to make sure nobody else gets anything from that. Next thing is going to be any tools that have been contaminated and used in the piercing. This includes taper pins, forceps, pliers, hemostats, multi-purpose tools, ring openers, ring closers, whatever you used that you're going to reuse. It needs to be immediately put into a hard surface cleaner to soak. For those that don't know what a hard surface cleaner is, Maticide is probably the most common or universally known. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant. In most cases, you have it'll kill off a majority, like 99.8% of pathogens or microorganisms in about a minute of contact. It can be considered sterile within like 12 hours in most cases. The reason we do this is you have a contaminated item that you are going to have contact with at some point, including disinfecting it, which is what you're doing. You're then going to clean it, and then you're going to rewrap it and re-sterilize it or re-sterilize it, depending on what type of setup you have. So you are going to be in contact with this thing at some point. Of course, you're going to be wearing gloves and all that stuff, but it's safer to go ahead and decontaminate it as much as possible before you have to do that. I did do a video on decontamination, cleaning, and sterilizing. I think it's like a 3-parter. I'll probably do it again just basically because I want to include it in the series. But if you look back through some of my older videos, you probably can find it. Now, once you've done that, what I do is I keep it in a disposable airtight container. And the reason why I use disposable plastic ones is because they're easy to throw out. I don't have to worry about replacing them. I can buy a ton of them, and if they go bad, I just toss them. I keep them on the floor. Some people will keep them on a small shelf. They consider like the hot shelf, a little bit off the floor. You should only touch that. You should never touch that other than when you're putting tools in there. The rest of the time, leave it alone. It should be out of reach of anybody. That's why I don't like small children in my piercing area. They tend to get into everything, and that would be terrible if they got into it. Because not only is it toxic, but it's got contaminated stuff on it. Not a good combination. So you basically will get that ready to soak. I do it overnight before then cleaning and etc. So at least has roughly about 24 hours of soaking in there, and most of the nasties are gone or dead. Next up, you're going to want to dispose of what's left. Usually this is like paper items, like the bags that we did that the jewelry and the forceps and etc. came in. Maybe a rubber band, maybe a cork, maybe a piece of gauze, some cotton tip applicators, whatever you use in that process. Regardless if you used it and actually touched the person, it needs to be disposed of properly. And the easiest way and safest way to do that is to fold up the sides of the dental bib or whatever you use as a drape into a ball. Then you grab it in the palm of your hand, pull the glove over it, and wrap it around that, and then toss it into the designated hot trash, meaning the place where you put those things and nothing else that has limited access. So you're not throwing a bunch of other stuff in it or digging around in it later. Next, you want to remove the other glove, because you already got rid of one of them because it's in the trash. Put that in the trash. Then I would suggest that you scrub up again. Same thing that you did at the very beginning. I like Hibiclens, but you want to use an antimicrobial soap of some sort with at least 30 seconds of friction. Rinse, and then I would suggest disinfecting not only the tray that you use, but also any surfaces that your client had in contact. So I will clean the monostand, usually starting at the center and working outward, and then also will clean the sides of it to make sure that if I touched it or my client touched it or whatever, it's done. Then we clean the table. Here's the reason why we clean the table, and that is because humans have a tendency to touch things when they're new. And it's never, well, not every time, but a lot of people, they will instinctively put their hand on the piercing immediately after it's been done. Or if it's bleeding, they will try to hold it there for you. Occasionally, I will let clients do that. I don't like to. I would much rather do it myself so that I have control over what gets touched after that. If you do have a situation where you notice the client's done that, because sometimes they'll get up and they'll look in the mirror and then it's like, oh, wow, this is cool. Ask them to wash their hands. You're either that or you're going to be chasing them all over that studio trying to figure out exactly where they touched for the next hour or so. You don't want them touching anything and after they've touched their fresh piercing or held a piece of bloody gauze up against it. I've had a lot of clients that have had multiple piercings done other places, and they seem kind of like taken aback when they start to reach up to do that. I go, no, don't do it. And they're like, well, I've done that every single time I've been pierced. I don't know why people let clients do that. It's a bad idea. It's a bad practice. There's just some situations where that's the only thing that'll work, but for most of the time, you should control everything that happens around that piercing. Figure a softball size area around that piercing for the entire procedure to the point where they're leaving. Now, if they did touch anything, you want to clean off the surface you pierced on, in this case, the table. If they touched mirrors, anything else needs to be disinfected immediately afterwards, and that's that. Now, a lot of people are like, why do you do it at the beginning of the end? What we're doing is at the beginning of the piercing, we're disinfecting because we want it clean. At the end, we're doing it because we know it's not clean. So in essence, because you're turning over clients, you're double doing everything. You're making sure and ensuring that that person does not leave your studio without a piercing, of course, but nothing else they didn't come in with. And it's for your safety because you're going to be in contact with that area for your entire work week. So be safe, take care of yourself, and take care of your clients for that reason. Always do it twice, always in twos. So that's all I have to say on this particular subject today. If you have something you would like to add, maybe you have another method that you use, or you have some suggestions on even improving how I've been doing it for quite some time. I love insight. That's how we all learn. We get told. If you have any questions about how or why we do things or what have you, feel free to leave a comment. I'm way behind right now, but I'm slowly catching up when I have time. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so that we're notified. So you're notified. We won't be notified. You'll be notified every time we post something new. If you like t-shirts, you like swag, you like fanny packs, phone cases, beach towels, check out the merch store. Links in the description. Also, with there's one of those merch bar things down there. All that money goes to us to help keep the channel going, but it also goes for us to buy more t-shirts. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. If you are in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I hope to see you for your body piercing needs in the future. Stay safe, everybody. Pierce safe, pierce healthy, and we will see you in the next video.